I believe we left off, if you've got the printed version of Antigone in front of you, on page 4. We're going to back up just a little bit. Ismene's speech on that page, beginning around line 60. Ismene reminds Antigone, old family history. She says, think how our father died, hated, reputation in ruins, etc., gouged his eyes out, his mother, her wife, both in one, etc. Now look at us, she says. Think what a death we'll die, the worst of all, if we violate the laws and override the fixed decree of the throne. Its power. Notice, the throne, she says, not the king. All right, she kind of separates the two. Then she says, we must be sensible. What does she mean by sensible?
Follow the law.
We got to follow the law. We have to do what's rational. We have to do what's reasonable. After all, I threw in the after all, she says, remember, we are women. We're not born to contend with men. Greek system, women had no rights, no voice, all that kind of stuff. So she says then too, we're underlings. In other words, she's saying there are good reasons for us not to do what you are proposing we do. Okay? And then she finishes, why rush to extremes? It's madness. Remember the other day, or while we were discussing Oedipus, I suggested, partly because Creon and Tiresias suggested, that what is a characteristic of Oedipus that comes out through the play? Does he act deliberately? That is, does he slow down, think through things? No, he acts rashly. He acts impulsively. Kind of what Ismene is suggesting here about her sister. In other words, to use the popular idiom, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Okay? So Antigone says, I won't insist. Forget I ever mentioned it. No, even if you should have a change of heart, I'd never welcome you in the labor. That is, I'm going to bury him, and even if you decide you want to help, you can't. Forget it. Do as you like, whatever suits you best, I'll bury him myself. And even if I die in the fact that death will be this word, glory. Okay? Earlier, when Antigone brought up why she's going to bury her brother, what did she say she was following? One of these things, a higher law. Okay? Now she introduces this idea of personal glory. I will lie with the one I love and loved by him and outrage sacred to the gods. She's not talking about lying sexually or anything like that. She means when I die and go to the grave, I will be with Polynices. That is, family unit. Not burying him is what she is suggesting is an outrage to the gods. Okay? I have longer to please the dead than please the living here. Right? Because once you're dead, how long are you dead? For the rest of time. Here, who knows? It's a crapshoot as to how long you have. In the kingdom down below, I'll lie forever. What's her point?
Nothing's going to stop her from burying her brother.
Nothing's going to stop her. What else? If she does what she's talking about doing, she says, I'll be in the right with all of this for all of time from that point forward. If I disagree with the state, I'll be wrong for how long? For the the next few hours, minutes, days, okay, she has to live. And bear in mind, this play, like Oedipus the King, all takes place within 24 hours. Okay? From the beginning, opening moment, to the end of the play, not a full day passes. So, do as you like, dishonor the laws the gods hold in honor. So the gods versus what? The so-called real world or secular power, meaning the state? So you can obey the gods or you can obey the state, the king. She's saying, when I die, I'm going to deal with them forever. If I go against the state, how long can the state persecute me? Okay? Is meaning, I do them no dishonor. I would. Would there means wish, desire. I don't wish or desire to dishonor the gods. It's a nice sentiment, right? No. I uphold the gods. I praise the gods. I worship the gods, etc. But defy the city? Notice what she's just done. There's the contrast. Earthly authority, divine authority. Earthly power, divine power. Is this just some old, dead, useless, irrelevant work by a guy who lived 2,500 years ago? No, because we see the same issues, the exact same issues talked about today. Look at during COVID, during all the lockdowns and stuff. Churches and a lot of other groups said, we're not going to obey the state. The state said, you have to obey us. We're the ultimate authority. And some churches said, no, there's a higher authority. This is an age-old question. It is always relevant. And not just here or Greece, but around the world. Antigone, you have your excuses. Now, does she mean by excuses reasons? What's the difference between an excuse for something and a reason for something?
A reason's justifiable, an excuse.
An excuse is something you're grasping at to try to justify what you're doing or saying. I don't know if I'm going to make it on both of my classes. Whatever this virus is, it doesn't let go. It's not COVID, so don't worry about that. So she says, I'm on my way. That is, I'm going. I'm going to go scatter some dust, say the words, pour the oil. I will raise a mound for my dear brother. Antigone, there it is. You're so rash. Crayon later on is going to say, like father, like daughter. I'm afraid, don't fear for me. Set your own life in order. What does she mean, set your own life in order? Hamlet, there's going to be a moment when we get to Hamlet, where in Act 5, before Hamlet has this duel kind of scene, Hamlet is going to talk to a friend of his about, he's got this weird feeling. He doesn't know what the weird feeling means, and the friend says, if you don't want to do this, you shouldn't do it. You should kind of follow your gut. And Hamlet starts talking about death, and he says, ultimately, the readiness is all. Meaning, you have to be ready to die every moment. If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. If not tomorrow, it'll be today. The readiness is all. Get your own life in order, is meaning. Antigone's warning her. Well, don't tell anyone at least. Keep it a secret. I mean, she's telling her, it's okay to bury him. Just don't let anybody know you did it. She goes, dear God, I'll shout it from the rooftops. Let's update that. I'm going to put it on TikTok. And everywhere, Keep it a secret. I'll join you in that. That is, I won't tell anybody what you've talked to me about. I'll hate you all the more for your silence. Tell the world. Whew. Okay? So fiery, you're not to chill your heart. I know I please where I must please the most. Riddle? Not really. What must she please the most? Who must she please the most? Yeah. Again, put yourself in the mindset. If you believe in the reality of the gods, and if you believe that the gods punish if you don't follow their dictates and such, or their laws, even if the laws are unwritten, and the laws she's referring to are unwritten, you want to please them more than you do want to please, the king. Well, Antigone does. So, as many tells her you're wrong, etc., etc. Antigone, if you say so, you'll make me hate you, and the hatred of the dead by all rights will haunt you night and day. Now, that might mean, and if I'm killed for doing what I'm going to do, then my hatred for you will haunt you while she still lives, while Ismene still lives. She says, but leave me to my own absurdity, leave me to suffer this. I will suffer nothing as great as death, and there it is again, without glory. Why does she keep bringing this idea of personal glory in? See, this is the wrinkle in the play for a lot of readers. And when I say for a lot of readers, I kind of mean and rightly so. Because if you were to leave out the personal glory, then what does that say about Antigone's motivations? It's entirely what? It's entirely for this stuff. It's entirely good. If she's doing it entirely to follow the gods, then you have to, if you accept the world of the play, the cosmology and all that kind of stuff, then you have to say, totally honorable. But she keeps throwing in this. What's personal glory? My reputation, my fame, my honor. People will remember me. Okay? So, they go inside the palace, and we get the parados. Chorus comes in. And notice what the chorus latches onto. Glory. Great beam of the sun. Right? Because the sun is glorious. Brightest of all that ever rose on the seven gates of Thebes. You burn through night at last, great eye of the golden day, mounting blah, 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 blah. Okay? Talking about the attack of Polynices against the city, and, the gods hovering over the roofs, etc., etc. Zeus hates, line 140, with a vengeance, all bravado. What's bravado? It's an emphasis on this. It's boasting. It's arrogant pride. The mighty boasts of men. He watched them coming on in a rising flood, the pride of their golden armor, blah, 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 blah. And down from the heights he crashed, pounding down on the earth. That is, Zeus brought down Polynices, etc. Okay? Then they go on and talk about victory, glorious in the morning. What victory? The victory of Thebes over Polynices and the attacking kings. 173. But look, the king of the realm is coming. Crayon, the new man for the new day. And that's kind of implying we've turned a chapter in the history of Thebes. The old Oedipus time, the old House of Laius time is gone. All the problems associated with those bad memories, you know? The prophecy, the incest. Because Creon wasn't part of that. Totally separate from that. Yes, he's related to Yocasta, but he didn't sleep with her. He didn't sleep with his nieces or nephews or, anything like that. Creon, new man for the new day. Whatever the gods are sending now, what new plan will he launch? Why this special session? In other words, it's like Creon has called a meeting of Congress. Special legislative session. Why this sudden call to the old men, that is us, the chorus, summoned at what command? Creon comes in, he gives a speech. There's at least one that I could think of, and I can't remember the actor's name. There's a fantastic production of Antigone that used to be available on YouTube. I don't know if it still is. They've kind of tightened down on their copyright rules. And it's kind of portrayed in a militaristic setting. And Creon kind of comes across as this dictator, all right? He comes out and he says these lines. My countrymen, the ship of state is safe. Notice, we still use that metaphor as the state being a ship on storm-tossed seas. The metaphor is very old. The gods who rocked her, after long merciless pounding in the storm, have righted her once more. That is, Thebes is safe. Out of the whole city I've called you here alone. Why? Because I know your undeviating respect for the throne and royal power of Laius. You guys never turned your back on the throne or on Laius. And while Oedipus steered the land, and even after he died, your loyalty was unshakable. True patriots, he's saying. Okay? And you even stood by their children. Now, since the two sons are dead, two blows of fate, they cut down each other. What? I now possess the throne and all its powers. See, earlier in Oedipus, he said what? To Oedipus. You possess the state, I get all the perks. You have all the problems, I get all the fun stuff. And then he says this, 194. Of course, you cannot know a man completely, his character, his principle, sense of judgment, not till he's shown his colors ruling the people, making laws. Look at that in a modern context. Why, in the history of the United States, why have very few senators been elected president? What position do they not hold as senators? Or members of Congress? Or mayors, Pete Buttigieg ran for president after being the mayor of North Bend, Indiana, a town of 100,000 people. Never was gonna win. Though, mayor is the same kind of job, or mayor is the kind of job that senator and representative are not. It's an executive job. Senators usually, not all the time, vast majority of time though, however, if a senator is running against somebody who had been a governor, the governor wins. Why? What can you look at? Record. Governor is the executive of the state. The governor makes the final decisions. The governor pushes the agenda, not a congressman, not a senator. Okay? So he says, you can't know a man completely, his character, his principles, his sense of judgment, until he's what? Until he's ruled. Until you see what kind of executive decisions that person makes. Experience, there's the test. Now, when Creon says this, what kind of experience does he have? That was Oedipus's experience, not his. He wasn't king. He wasn't calling the shots. Oedipus was. He doesn't have any experience. After Oedipus, his sons ruled. So, what is this an example of? This is dramatic irony. That is, there is a lot of truth in what he says. He doesn't realize he's not the experienced one, though, when he makes a statement. We're going to see his experience as king. So he says, as I see it, whoever assumes the awesome task of setting the city's course and refuses to adopt the soundest policies, but fearing someone, keeps his lips locked tight, he's utterly worthless. Okay? So, you got to set the policies, you got to set the wheels in motion, and the policies have to be sound, but you can't fear someone. You can't fear what an individual says, or maybe what a group of individuals say, or maybe what the whole country says. If you think you're right and you think they're wrong. I could never stand by, 207, silent, watching destruction march against our city, putting safety to rout, nor could I ever make that man a friend of mine who menaces our country. Anyone who attacks us is my enemy. That's his point. Remember this, our country is our safety. If the country's safe, the people inside the country are safe. Only while she voyages true on course can we establish friendships, etc. Such are my standards. My standards, make our city great. So, now he announces publicly his decree concerning the two sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died fighting for Thebes, meaning he was a what? Patriot. He gets buried full military honors. As for his brother, who returned from exile, consumed with one desire to burn the city to its roots, he didn't literally want to burn the city, he wanted to rule the city. He gets what? A proclamation has forbidden the city to dignify him with burial, mourn him at all. No, he must be left unburied, his corpse carrying for the birds and dogs to tear, an obscenity for the citizens to behold. Okay? These are my principles. That is, these are my standards. Never at my hands will the traitor be honored above the patriot. Whoever proves his loyalty to the state, I'll prize that man in death as well as life. That is, whoever is a patriot to the state and whoever is loyal to everything I've just said, okay, I'll prize, I'll support, I'll honor that person. The reverse of that is the reverse of that. If you don't honor the state, if you're not a patriot, if you don't honor my principles, you're an enemy. Leader, notice the leader's words. If this is your pleasure, Crayon, treating our city's enemy and our friend this way, pause. The power is yours. Why the pause? The leader's raising doubt. But it's your power, meaning it's your call. It's not on us. The power is yours, I suppose, to enforce it with the laws, both for the dead and all of us, the living. Speakers, the leader's kind of raising a question. How can you rule for somebody who's already dead? How can you enforce the law on somebody who is dead? They're not under your control, power, authority anymore. Follow my orders closely then. No. When not us, we're too old. Put that on somebody younger. He says, no, I don't mean guard the body. I've got guards. What do you mean then? What commands for us? See that you never side with those who break my orders. In other words, it's like in the one Star Wars. You're either with me or you're against me. Only a fool could be in love with death. Why? Because if we support somebody who goes against you, what has he said? Death is the punishment. If you bury Polynices, death is the punishment. Crayon, death is the price, you're right. But all too often the mere hope of money has ruined many men. There it is. Money. Money can buy off a lot of things. Almost every spy, American traitor, somebody who worked for the intelligence community and then was arrested and found out to be a spy, almost every one of them, it wasn't because they were secret communists, in love with communists, except for one major one, a guy named Alger Hiss going back to the 1940s. But from like the 1960s forward, almost everyone, it was discovered, sold the secrets because of money. They were offered enough money, okay? A century comes in. So notice, the public proclamation has just been made. And now a century comes in and says, skipping a bunch, da-da-da-da-da, I'll tell my story, 263 or so. I've come with a good grip on one hope. What will come, whatever fate. Get to the point. I didn't do it. Didn't see who did. Just don't take it out on me. When a messenger makes that kind of comment, what do you immediately know? One, I didn't do it, and I didn't see who did. I'm just relating the story. Something bad. The person's going to relate something bad. What is he really saying? Don't shoot the messenger. Okay? Come on, out with it. Somebody just buried the body. Down to the bottom of that page, 278 or so. The body, someone's just buried it, then run off. Sprinkled some dry dust on the flesh, giving it proper rites. Notice, first the century says buried, and then says sprinkled some dust on it. Why? For purposes of the Greek rites, that's all that's needed. What? And then look at Creon's next question. Because this gets at one of the central points of the play. What man alive would dare? And this is an instance where the word man isn't used generically to mean human. It means what man did this. Why?
Women had no power, so they weren't expecting.
Because women had no power, no authority, nothing. And so it would never enter his mind that a woman would oppose him. Okay? Now, bear in mind, Sophocles is writing this, well, it's first produced around 441 BC. Talk about forward thinking. Okay? Century, I don't know. No mark of a spade, no pickaxe, that is, the earth hadn't been dug up at all. Ground packed hard, dry, unbroken, no tracks, no wheel, nothing. That is not even footprints. But at sunup, we were stunned. You can't see the corpse. Not that it's buried, really. Just a light cover of road dust over it. Okay? As if someone meant to lay the dead to rest and keep from getting cursed. That is, I think that and keep from getting cursed has two meanings. The person who did it hurriedly so as not to get caught and get cursed by Crayon, or to keep the dead from being cursed. Just put what was the bare minimum required. Okay? Moreover, Not a sign in sight that dogs or wild beasts had worried the body, even torn the skin. See, now that's odd. You drive down any road in Murfreesboro, I live off Highway 96, if there's roadkill, what's going to be there within a day or so? Vultures? Nothing. Nothing has started to peck away at this body. It's been there for more than a day. So why haven't any scavengers started to pick at it? It might be the gods are kind of, saying, shoo. I'm just throwing that out as a possibility. So, what came next? Rough talk flew thick and fast. That is, we argued among ourselves who's going to go tell Crayon. Or who's responsible, who did it. None of us did it. So, I drew the, short straw. So here I am, against my will, yours too, 3:12. Well, I know no one wants the man who brings bad news. And now the leader of the chorus speaks up. Ever since he began, I've been debating in my mind, could this be the work of the gods? That is, could the gods have stirred up a little breeze to get just enough dust, like a dust devil, to cover the corpse? Crayon, stop. Just stop. Before you make me choke with anger, the gods, you're senile. To say that the gods could have the slightest concern for that corpse? Tell me. And so what are Crayon's reasons for why the gods wouldn't have done that? Look at what he says Polynices was guilty of. They proceeded to bury him. Why? The hero who came to burn their temples ringed with pillars? To scorch their hallowed earth? When did you last see the gods celebrating traitors? Inconceivable. That is, I can't even fathom what you're thinking. No, it wasn't the gods. No, there were certain citizens who could hardly stand the spirit of my regime. There were people who didn't like me becoming king from the beginning, grumbling against me. Okay? What caused them to do it? Again, money. When Oedipus first accused Tiresias of plotting against him, what did he say was the cause that Tiresias would do it? Money. And he accused Tiresias of trading prophecies for money. Nothing worse in our lives, so current, rampant, so corrupting, money, So he turns on the sentry. If you don't find the man who buried that corpse, what? You're going to suffer the punishment, okay? He says, can I just say one thing before I leave? Everything you say offends me. That's an indication, no, you should just shut up and leave. But the sentry doesn't take the hint. Where does it hurt you, in the ears or in the heart? That is, does it physically hurt your ears, the sound of my voice, or does the meaning of my words penetrate your heart? The culprit grates on your feelings. I just annoy your ears. That is, the person who did the burying is the one that's troubling your heart. You just don't like the words I'm telling you. Okay? So the sentry again says, I didn't do it. Crayon, yes, you did. What's more, you squandered your life for silver. What has Crayon just done? He's accused the sentry of the same thing Oedipus accused Crayon and Tiresias of. You did it. Yes, okay. The sentry said, I never did this thing, so help me. Yes, you did. What's more, you squandered your life for silver. Sentry. Oh, it's terrible when the one who does the judging judges things all wrong. Now, there's a little example of the individual, the sentry, standing up against the state. I mean, what has he just said? The judge is wrong. What recourse do we have if we have a judge who judges a case wrongly? We can appeal, right? We can appeal to that judge, rehear the case, or we can appeal to an appeals court. And if that court gets it wrong, we can appeal higher and higher, and ultimately we can appeal to the Supreme Court. What if the Supreme Court says, nope, there's no other appeal, right? You can't go any higher than that. So, it's terrible when one who does the judging judges things all wrong. Crayon, you must be clever about your judgments. If you fail to produce the criminals for me, you'll swear your dirty money brought you pain. So, Crayon is suggesting, turn in your friends. Because Crayon is suggesting this guy is part of the plot. Crayon goes into the palace. Notice he gets the final word, so to speak. Sentry, I hope he's found. That is the person who did the burying. Best thing by far, but caught or not, that's in the lap of fortune. That is, fortune will determine whether or not the barrier, can't think of a word to describe him, is found. I'll never come back. No, the guards will send somebody else this time, or next time. Okay? Dear gods, I owe you all my thanks. That is, thank you for saving me from Crayon's ire. He rushes out, and we get the first specimen. That is, this is now the first speech of the chorus between the episodes. When the chorus first came in, it was the parados. So now, every time the chorus speaks, it's what's called a specimen. And the chorus says, excuse me, numberless wonders, terrible wonders walk the world, but none the match for man. That great wonder crossing the heaving gray sea, that is, each individual person is an amazing wonder in the world, right? Why? We can do things the animals can't do. We have speech, we have thought, 395 following. Man, 406, man the master, ingenious past all measure, past all dreams, the skills within his grasp, etc., etc. And then Antigone comes in, accompanied by the sentry. The same sentry who said, I'm not coming back. And the chorus sees her. Here is a dark sign from the gods, 418. What to make of this? I know her. That young girl's Antigone, wretched child of a wretched father, Oedipus. They bring her in like a prisoner. Notice, they bring you in, not her. Why? Because now the sentry addresses her. So now she's close enough. Excuse me, the chorus. They bring you in like a prisoner. What did you do? Did you break the king's laws? Did they take you in some act of mad defiance, and you've got a gloss down there at the bottom? She's the one. She did it. We caught her. Where's Crayon? Bring the king out. Crayon comes out. Nothing you can swear you'll never do. Second thoughts make liars of us all. I could have sworn I wouldn't hurry back, blah, blah, blah. Here she is. Take her, question her, line 440. Cross-examine her to your heart's content. But set me free. Prisoner? Her? Wait, stop. You took her where? Doing what? Okay, what was the last conversation Crayon had with the sentry? About the burying of Polynices' body. And now he's acting totally clueless. Burying the men. That's the whole story. What? You mean what you're telling me the truth? Why does he have such a hard time? She's the one. With my own eyes, I saw her. Is that plain and clear? Clear enough for you? What did you see? Did you catch her in the act? Back up. She's the one. With my own eyes, I saw her bury the body. That kind of implies if he wanted to, he could kind of pantomime the act, reaching down, get some dust, sprinkling, saying prayers. Okay? So the sentry gives a long speech, talks about a storm coming up, dust storm, the girl's there, and she does everything. So he says, we captured her, we interrogated her, etc. Crayon. You, he turns on Antigone. With your eyes fixed on the ground, speak up. Why are her eyes fixed on the ground? Is this an act of humility? Is this an act of maidenly modesty? Probably not. Do you deny you did this, yes or no? Why does he ask her that? He has eyewitnesses. Only one has shown up, the sentry. There were other sentries. They all saw it. He could bring in more. Why does he ask her, did you do this? Do you deny it? What's he giving her?
Chance to be honest.
A door is, okay, chance to be honest. A way out. Because she could say, no, Lord, I never did this. And then what would Crayon do? Turn back to the sentry. I did it. I don't deny a thing. Get out. He turns to the sentry. Tell me, briefly, no long speeches, were you aware a decree had forbidden this? Again, what's he doing? It's a way out. Why? Why is he giving her a way out? Because if she says, no, my lord, I never heard anything about such a decree. I was just calmly sitting in my room, spinning thread, doing the things a nameless, faceless, powerless woman should be doing. Well aware. How could I avoid it? It was public. It was on every screen, And you still had the gall to break the law? Of course I did. So why do you deny it? Were you aware of what is Antigone to Crayon? Niece? And I don't know what the other, there's something else because of the incest, some weird thing. Okay? No, it wouldn't be because, I don't know what it would be. So she says, of course I did. It wasn't Zeus, not in the least, who made this proclamation, not to me. What has she just told Crayon? And when she says it wasn't Zeus, you could replace that with, it wasn't God. You're not God, Crayon. You don't get a command what happens to the dead. Nor did that justice dwelling with the gods beneath the earth ordain such laws for men. And you have to understand, part of the Greek system is that there are beings called the Furies or Harpies, or if I'm spelling it right, Eringis, okay, who live beneath the earth, whose whole purpose is to punish wrongdoers. They're not controlled by the gods. Okay? And they're especially controlling wrongdoers who go against their family blood. Like if you kill a parent, or if you kill a sibling, or if you sleep with a parent, or if you sleep with the sibling. When you die, they are going to punish you. And if you don't die for a long time, they will come up out of the earth and hound you till your death. Okay? The play I mentioned many, many days ago, Agamemnon. Agamemnon is the first of 3 plays. Okay? The third play is called, drawing a blank, but it's about these beings chasing Agamemnon's son and harassing him because he avenges his father's death by killing his mother. Big, big no-no. Matricide, right? And the whole purpose of that play, why am I drawing a blank on the title? The whole purpose of that play, it's actually the second, is, well, the whole series, the whole trilogy, is to give a, mythological construct for the Athenian system of justice. That is, to move from an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, you killed one of mine, I'm going to kill one of yours, you killed my father, I'm killing you, to a court and trial and jury of your peers system of justice. So that at the end of the third play, there is now a trial scene with Athena kind of presiding, and to determine whether or not the character Orestes is guilty of murdering his mother. Okay? And there's a trial, and there's a jury, and the jury ultimately says, no, he's not. And these characters are all unhappy with that because they know he did kill her. Okay? And Athena gives them an opportunity to change their reason for existence, and they become blessing beings, goddesses, essentially. But here, the play is alluding to the fact that these things will hunt you down during your life and torture you. Not physical torture, mental, emotional. Okay? So, she goes on. That's the justice dwelling beneath the earth. Nor did I think your edict had such force that you, a mere mortal, could override the gods. The great, unwritten, unshakable traditions. What does she mean by the great, unwritten, unshakable traditions? They are alive, not just yesterday or not just today or yesterday. The they is not the gods. It's those great, unshakable, unwritten, unshakable traditions. That's this kind of moral law that everybody knows exists. Okay? And part of that is when someone dies, even an enemy, what should you do? You give that person burial. You can't harm the dead anymore. Once you've made them dead, you respect the dead. Okay? They live forever from the first of time, and no one knows when they first saw the light. That is, the great, unwritten, unshakable traditions. She says, these things weren't created. C.S. Lewis would say, Greek was his major area of study when he was at Oxford, took a first in honors, would say that this is ultimately the law of fairness. Every culture across the world has a notion of something is fair and something is unfair. It's this. It's basic morality. There is a good and there is a wrong kind of a thing. She's saying this thing that's in us, it has no beginning. And what you're doing, Crayon, goes against it. These laws, I was not about to break them, not out of fear of some man's wounded pride. Notice, not out of fear of some man's wounded, not someone's, and face the retribution of the gods. Die I must, I've known it all my life. Right? We all die, period. How could I keep from knowing, even without your death sentence ringing in my ears? If I'm going to die before my time, I consider that a gain. Why? Who on earth, alive in the midst of so much grief as I, could fail to find his death a rich reward? She's saying, death is better than living under your rule. Leader, like father, like daughter. Passionate, wild, hasn't learned to bend before adversity. And there's that possible allusion to Aesop's fable about the mighty oak and the reed. The storm comes, the oak blows down and dies, and the reed bends and then comes back up. In other words, to take the punches, or as Hamlet puts it, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and go on living. Crayon. No. That is, she hasn't learned to bend before adversity. Believe me, the stiffest, stubborn wills fall the hardest. Major dramatic irony. Okay? Because we're going to see, in the course of the play, Crayon has the stiffest, most stubborn will. It's almost like in order to be king of Thebes, you got to be a stubborn jackass. The toughest iron, tempered wrong in the white-hot fire, you'll see it crack, etc., etc. This girl was an old hand at insolence when she overrode the edicts we made public. But once she done it, the insolence to glory in it. Laughing, mocking us. Who's the us? It's not the chorus. This is the royal we. This is the way kings and queens speak. Queen Victoria, one of the most famous quotes from her is somebody did something and she said, "We are not amused." Meaning, you pissed me off. Okay? Mocking us to our face, what she done. I am not the man, not now. She is the man if this victory goes to her and she goes free. What does he mean? If I let her live, then she, metaphorically, does what to Crayon? Not an idea, image men like to think about. Castrates him. Demasculates him or emasculates him. That's why he says, I am not the man if she goes free. Never. Sister, child are closer in blood than all my family? Nope. Bring her. Okay? So Antigone says, what more do you want than my arrest and execution? I mean, what more can I give you? We'll stop there. We'll finish. We have to. Well, we don't have to. We'll try and finish on Monday, Wednesday at the latest. I've got time, essentially built into the syllabus that getting a little bit behind won't be a problem. All right, have a good weekend.